Republicans continue to claim that widespread Democrat voter fraud is rampant in all the elections, at least any election that they happen to lose. But yet here we have another situation where it turns out it's actually a Republican that's committing fraud. Weird. Now, this case involves an Alabama Republican Party chairman named John Wahl. John Wahl happens to be a staunch supporter of the state's voter ID law, and yet was busted using a fake ID to vote in 2 recent elections. Now, Wahl had told AL.com, quote, "Voter ID is designed to protect people's vote from being stolen, and I fully support that concept. I believe the right to vote is sacred, and we should defend it." Okay, but you literally created a fake ID so you could vote. Now, here are the details. In November of 2020, in the party primaries in May 2022, Wahl showed up to the polls with what looked to be an employee badge, which was not a valid form of ID. Along with his name, the card read Regional Press Secretary and identified the Office of State Auditor according to an image obtained by AL.com. Here's that image. So that's what he used as a voter ID. On both occasions, a poll worker had challenged Wahl's form of ID based, again, on the very voter ID laws that Wahl had supported. Both times they had texted photos of the badge to a Limestone County probate judge. This is probate judge Charles Woodruff. Now, the thing about that is the probate judge approved it, even though it did not actually fit the law. So, wait, does that mean Mr. Wahl, John Wahl, is above the law that he supports? Hey, laws for me, laws for me, thee, but not for me. I don't have to follow my own law. And of course, he makes excuses about it later on. Now, according to Secretary of State John Merrill, Alabama's top election official, this badge right there, is not a valid form of voter ID. Quote, "It does not meet the standard of any voter ID requirements listed under Code of Alabama Section 17930, Merrill's office said. Now, how did he get it? Now, that's an even more interesting question. So, no doubt, it's a fake ID. It's not a real ID, and here's how he got it. Okay, now first, let's go to how his story of how he got it changed several times. Now, Wahl told Newsweek that he obtained the employee badge several years ago after he was asked to assist State Auditor Jim Ziegler as a press secretary. He told a reporter that when he assisted Ziegler with setting up email systems, a third-party provider had asked him for credentials showing that he was authorized to do so. That's when he says he made the ID. Okay. Quote, "We used a printer to print the ID." The reporter then asked him, "You used a printer to print the ID?" He says, "We used a third party printer to print the ID." The reporter then asked him who he meant by we. Was it him and Ziegler? He said, yes. Now, when the reporter went and asked Ziegler, his response was, I kind of don't remember. I mean, my recollection is before he was ever party chair, I was doing one of my many investigations and that he had helped me do it. And I remember vaguely something about him needing some sort of ID that he could legitimately do this for me. That's all I remember. Oh, okay, great. Now, later on, Ziegler, after speaking with Wahl, then changed the story to resemble his, and then said, oh, see, the reason I said that earlier is because we had a bad phone connection. I couldn't quite understand what you were saying. So, bad phone. Oh, okay. Now, Ziegler also noted that his office does not create the IDs themselves, as badges are actually administered by the Alabama Department of Finance. Now, when asked, the assistant finance director told Newsweek that Wahl's badge was, quote, not a door access card issued by the Department of Finance. So wait, they're saying, the Department of Finance got him a badge, but the Department of Finance doesn't actually print out badges like that. And then they kept referencing this third-party printer. Now, the department also noted that it had never issued him a card, nor was Wahl on the list of employees past and present in Ziegler's office at all. So, again, pure lies. And again, it's because Wahl had literally designed and printed this ID himself with no authorization, complete with fake barcode. The finance department noted that it does not use barcodes on their IDs. Now, the reporter asked him, what's the barcode for then? Again, you can see it right there. The reporter, he responded to the reporter by saying, it might be my birthday. Was it though? Well, it turns out that the reporter had decoded that. And when he did, it showed up as a sequence of numbers, mostly zeros, unlike anything on state employee ID badges. When he confronted Wahl with that, he responded with, well, I'm not sure what that is, adding that the ID did not give him special access to public buildings, privileged information, or government records, but apparently you can use it to vote. He was also asked if he was aware of any other IDs being made for other people, or if this was the only one. He responded with, not that I know of. Oh, okay. Not that I know of. I mean, maybe. Are you making fake IDs for other people? I don't know. Now, there's one more irony, right? Republicans say that we need poll watchers. We need people to watch the polls so that we can, protect the vote, protect the sanctity of our elections. And we need the voter ID. But when his obviously fake ID was flagged by same poll workers, Wahl actually got one fired. Public records show that Wahl had pushed successfully in 2022 to have Clyde Martin, a retired electrical engineer, removed as a poll worker after Martin complained to the higher-ups. Now, Martin, by the way, Martin didn't even stop him from voting. He's like, I don't know, that ID looks a little funny. I might want to call this one in just to see. And then, of course, they got a hold of that judge. Judge is like, no, it's fine. Okay. So Martin let him use it to vote. Now, Wahl's excuse for bringing that ID in, by the way, is an excuse that none of us would get away with. He said that he left his wallet behind and that ID was all he had on him at the time. What are you going to do? You're going to make me go home and get my actual license? Why would you make me do that? Do you know who I am? I'm going to call into my judge friend. That's what I'm going to do. But obviously, they let him go because Wahl is such a good conservative who cares about following the law and doing election integrity that he was allowed to have the benefit of the doubt. In fact, he told Newsweek, quote, election officials, including the probate judge, confirmed that it was an acceptable ID, for him, and I was allowed to vote. I've been voting at that same location for years, so I was well known to everyone there. Doesn't matter. Why should you get special treatment? Why should you not have to follow the law? Would anybody else get that same treatment? No, they would not. It's total hypocrisy. By the way, when Wahl went back to the polls this year, he used that same ID again, even though he actually did have his actual license on him that was a valid form of voter ID. Doesn't matter. He did this on purpose. He's like, I still got my fake ID. It worked last year. Why not just, use it this year? Use it again. Nobody cares. I'm above the law. Now, the poll worker who replaced Martin, Sarah Chadwell, also flagged it. She told AL.com that she wanted to take a picture of it and research it herself. And that's when the probate judge allowed this, again, very fake, obviously fake voter ID to be used. Now, let me ask you a question. If Wahl had been black, do you think they would have let him vote? I mean, honestly, do you think they would have let him get away with it? Say, oh, you know, I left my ID at home, but I got this. No, they wouldn't have let him vote. We all know the answer to that. Look, we know the whole reason behind voter ID is just a way that the right wing wants to disenfranchise and suppress the vote. This is what they've become. It's all about hypocrisy. It's all about voting laws for people that we don't want to vote, but not for us. We're exempt. We're above the law because we're white and Republican. That's all you have to be to get preferential treatment, at least when it comes to Alabama.